Should you pull for Garnet's FR? Her role is going to be a support, battery, healer, and Imperial Enchant. She's got a lot of roles that she covers. Her notable attacks are going to be Aquamarine Water Glint, her skill 1. It is 4 split HP dumps. It grants Water Dragon for 8 turns, which enchants water, and it also inflicts an AoE water resist down on the enemy. Her skill 2 is period Thunder Flash, 4 split HP dumps, just like her skill 1, and it grants Thunder Sar for 8 turns. It enchants thunder, and it also inflicts AoE thunder resist down for 4 turns on the enemy. Holy Prayer, her EX is instant turn rate. It heals and grants the party Brave. It also grants the party Holy Prayer for 10 turns, which enchants both thunder and water. It grants 1 free skill use, and it can also serve as an FR charger. Eternal Darkness, her LD. It is 4 full AoE HP dumps. It heals and grants the party Brave. It increases both of Garnet's skill uses by 1, and it grants Pumais Eidolon. I still don't know how to pronounce that. For 12 turns. With Eidolon, I'm just going to call it that from now on. It increases 1 level for every turn that takes place, no matter the enemy's turns or the allies' turns. It serves as Garnet's follow-up attack, so we're going to go through that right now. Her follow-up attack, which is technically named Eidolon Eternal Darkness. It triggers when the Eidolon level is at 4. It is 3 full AoE HP dumps, and it also grants the party Brave afterwards. Immaculate Judgment, her BT Expiration attack. She does have an expiration attack. It is 4 full AoE HP dumps. It cleanses all of the party's debuffs, and it also grants Eternal Immaculate Judgment for 6 turns, which is essentially just another BT effect. Let's get to her force conditions. It is a plus 30% when someone is using a thunder or water attack, another 20% when after moving it grants Brave to an ally, and a final 20% when Garnet is the one that grants Brave to an ally. So let's get to her pros. Garnet has very top tier auras. She has buffs and supports that very little people can top right now in the game. If you're looking for a support unit that can serve as your go-to for a very long while, especially with Echo starting now, Garnet, I think, is a very good choice. As a first unit in a new era, I do think she's a lot better than Kayn was force-wise. She can serve you very well, not even just as a FR unit, but just as a unit in general. She has amazing healing and battery. She can heal both with her EX and her LD. It's not super consistent, but in my opinion, it's consistent enough. And against her Brave, essentially almost all of her skills grant the party Brave. She got the batteries. That's all I'm gonna say. She got the batteries. She got that Duracell, that freaking bunny beating on the drum. That's Garnet. Okay, that's just Garnet in a furry costume. Her damage is really good now. Her FR is great as an Echo. What's great about Echo is you don't even need to use a unit's FR as the main FR. With Echo, you can use that as an additional attack on top of your force time. So if you're using someone's main FR like Penelo, Jack Garland, Yuna, and you add on Garnet's FR as an Echo, not only are you gonna be, boosting hella percentage on your force time, but you're also going to be doing amazing damage while not even taking a turn from the force time. That's what's so broken about Echo. That's why everyone's like saying, oh my god, FR Echo's so broken. And Garnet as an Echo, I think, is actually really great. She has super consistent Imperial Enchant. Her EX, Holy Prayer, it lasts for 10 turns. So unless you're going for some Omega turn hogger like Vayne, Tidus, or Terra, who's also coming up in FR Echo, the buff is really not gonna expire. And even if it does, chances are Garnet's EX will already be able to be recast again. So that's just another 10 turns of enchantment for you. There's never really going to be a time where you're not going to hit for thunder and water. For good and for bad, Garnet's enchant is very consistent. Finally, Garnet is really good for long fights. Again, with her BT Expiration attack, she grants a gold-framed buff, Immaculate Judgment, which, like I said before, it's not quite exactly like her BT, but it's close enough, and it's 6 turns. So on top of when you're getting Garnet's already 8-turn BT effect, which can be long if you know how to stretch it properly, she gets another 6 gold frame turns not just her, the entire party individually gets 6 turns of gold frame debuff of Garnet. That's essentially just another BT effect. And if you stretch that even longer and you use Garnet's burst phase to get even more BT effects out of it, and then you get another expiration effect because of that, you're gonna be having a very strong buff on your hands, especially for long-winded fights that take like almost half an hour to maybe even an hour, God forbid, to clear. Garnet, I think, is going to be a very good unit in that. Now that I've got all that out of the way, let's get to her cons. This was a con that Garnet had before. She has nothing for defense. Garnet is mostly an offensive support unit by herself. Of course, you can bring in a tank, you can bring in defensive auras outside of her kit, and then she can serve as a very good defensive support unit. But if we're just talking about her kit alone, and if you're wondering if she brings any specific buffs for defense, any specific defensive capabilities, it's not gonna happen. She's not gonna bring that for you. Second off, she has very limited FR charging. I don't even think you could consider it FR charging. Again, like I said before, her EX does have the capability of charging the force gauge, but by no means is it consistent at all. It's just, it shouldn't serve as your main go-to for force charging. You're not gonna reach 100% that fast. It serves as a great additional move to charge your gauge, on top of having a main force gauger, on top of having a main force charger in your party already. Garnet's EX is just a nice cherry on top. The third one I want to talk about is her elemental debuffs aren't framed. This was an issue. It's not necessarily an issue. It's only an issue if your party gives out a lot of debuffs. So Garnet might not work the best if your party inflicts a lot of debuffs, because there might not even be room for her to inflict her elemental debuffs on you. It's very easy to be pushed out, or it's very easy to be cleansed by the enemy. There aren't a whole lot of enemies that cleanse nowadays, but you know, every now and then a handful of units do. Whenever HP thresholds come out, they are going to end up cleansing their party, unless you can use some sort of Rydia call, or you can use maybe an Ash call to inflict silver frames on the enemy for thunder or water imperil. Then you're gonna have to deal with the fact that Garnet's debuffs inherently aren't framed. It's not the worst problem in the world, but it's just something you might want to keep in mind. The next kind is her FR itself is kind of lackluster. It's very specific to support units, DPS units, trying to get good force numbers off of Garnet's FR. It's going to be very hard to do so. Maybe hoping to go for a burst phase with a DPS unit. With Garnet's FR, I don't think you're going to be doing that much damage. I think her FR serves the best as a echo. Again, her FR itself is not that easy to hit, and it's not that consistent to the point where I can recommend using it as a main force. I wouldn't. At this point, you probably have better options in your hands. The last con that I want to talk about is when it comes to elemental lockouts, she's not useless. You can still use her, but she's still not good. Granted, Garnet does still have some use even in those situations, because for example, her skill 1, that still actually can deal full damage even in elemental lockouts, given how the move works. Granted, all her other moves aren't going to be doing damage. Her follow-up isn't going to be doing good damage outside of maybe the first HP dump. Her damage as a unit is going to dwindle dramatically with elemental lockout, but that doesn't mean she's completely useless. It's just she's not the best. So my should you pull rating for Garnet's FR Echo in the start of a new era is going to be an A+. As a starting FR Echo, I think she is fantastic. I think she's going to serve you well, and I think reworking one of the best support units pre Shinryu era and giving her fighting ground again and making her, again, top tier in my opinion. I think it's a very good investment, and I think if you already have her greened, I think just getting her FR is kind of a no-brainer at this point. What are your guys' takes? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!